Hi, friends. Thanks for joining us. Labor Day weekend, a bit tipsy. Do us a favor, smash that subscribe button. We can't thank y'all enough for the huge growth we've had from Winnipeg Blue Bomber Nation. Benny, where can they find us on social?
Wow, this is gonna be a good one. This is gonna be a good one. You can find us at Ray Benny Sports. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Check us out also on Reddit and Discord. And don't forget to leave us a rating on your favorite podcast provider.
Some of you may be wondering why Benny said this is going to be a good one. I am straight off the heels of being at Labor Day Classic at McMahon Stadium. So I'm fresh, but I'm ready to go and talk about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Stand Out on the Ice, brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing.
There you go.
It's already starting off really good. Bomber Talk, brought to you by Fahrenheit Airbrushing. Stand out on the ice, pavement, on the field, or in the stands with a custom airbrush, helmet, goalie mask, or any project. A local Manitoba business with affordable solutions. Check out Fahrenheit Airbrushing on Facebook or call them at 204-891-7431.
And don't forget to tell them that Ray and Benny sent you.
Shoot, I'm not tipsy enough to forget that phone number. But let's go on with Labor Day because I'm super happy about what happened this weekend. Sorry, Saskatchewan fans. You're going to take a big L in Winnipeg's second home. That's right. We own Mosaic. I'm sorry to say.
One loss only, right?
Heck yeah. First win ever. A regular season went to the Bombers in Mosaic. We've been to a Grey Cup in Mosaic before. Saskatchewan was, although it didn't
work out.
No, but still, we got that.
We were there.
We were there. We showed up. No, we didn't. Actually, no, we were there. What word will you use to describe the Bombers Riders Labor Day Classic? You go first.
I'm going to steal right off that classic. This was another classic game. And you know what? Unfortunately, Zach Collaros ended up getting hurt because I don't think it would have been a classic in that case because I think the Bombers were rolling and I think they would have rolled even through that second half.
Yes, sir.
But Collaros out changed that game. But yeah, I'm going to go with maybe too simple, but I'm going to go with classic because it ended up being a crazy finish and a good game.
I'm going to go with a grind. It was a grind. It was a battle in the trenches is where the game started and ended. Neither team could get the running game going. Wow, this is the kind of show it's going to be. I have the Oilers. The O-lines kept the QBs upright and clean for the most part. The Bombers kept the CFL sack leader, Micah Johnson, totally off the stat sheet. So shout out to the interior of the D-line. But I'm going to say it was a grind. And I agree. If it wasn't for some BS hit, which we're going to get into quickly, this probably would not have been a grind.
No, the Bombers were rolling, especially out of that first half. They were going. Like, I mean, what was it? 7-7. They scored 22 points in the second quarter of the Bombers.
Yeah.
To really start to pull away at this game. They took a 15-point lead going into halftime. And they ended it off at the end of the half with that touchdown right there, right after the Collaros hit. So, yeah, I would have loved to see Collaros continue on because minus that interception, he was having a solid game. A couple other wobbly throws, but other than that, he was on fire. He was on his game.
So let's go with it's a classic grind of the Labor Day Classic. Tip of the mug, who would you give the player of the game to? I'm going to give it to Kendall Randolph. No sacks allowed. Helped frustrate the Saskatchewan defensive line with his pass blocking. I think that's part of the reason why Miles Brown delivered that stupid hit. They were just frustrated with not being able to get to Zach Collaros. So he did a more than respectable job of replacing one of the GOATs, one of the greatest of all time linemen in CFL history. Like, it's unbelievable how spoiled we are in Winnipeg. We've had the two best linemen in CFL history. And if you can debate that, go ahead. Because I got Chris Walby and Stanley Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any two better than that? I don't think so.
Nope.
So when Kendall Randolph comes in and is able to slow down the Saskatchewan pass rush, all props to him. So I'm not going to say he had a perfect game. Man, I was in love with this guy's pedigree in the offseason. I was talking about him from Alabama and him playing basketball and him having good feet. And I just was happy to see him hold his own against a formidable Saskatchewan defense.
Yeah, and it's an encouraging sign, right? Because we know Stanley Bryant's going to be back this season, but we don't know how much further Stanley Bryant's going to play after this season, right? So, and then they got Neufeld too, another older guy in that old line, Kolinkowski. So you're going to need guys coming in. So it's good to see these young guys stepping up. Gabe Wallace looked good too before his knee went on him the last game. So I went beyond that and I said the whole O-line, because like you said, Randolph did not have a perfect game. Neither did the O-line, but they did a great or a good job for being a patchwork O-line. Right, you got guys playing in positions that they didn't play before. You got new guys coming in there. You're going into a stadium that was crazy loud, especially especially when Saskatchewan tied that thing up and then the interception to take the lead. Right, so that crowd was buzzing at that time, and the Bombers shut them down and shut that crowd up a bit going into halftime. And the pictures of the guys or the fans in the stands in the start of the second half, especially when Saskatchewan came out with only 2 field goals on their first couple of drives, they were pretty sad. So I'm going to give it to the O-line. They weren't perfect, like you said, but they did enough, and they helped this team grind out a victory.
What do you think about that hit from Miles Brown?
Terrible. I don't, and it's probably part of it is retribution for the big hill hit on Shea Patterson last game. But there was plenty of time for the guy to avoid hitting Collaros in that. And then you can kind of see he leans his head into it. Some people were saying he's going bodied in her shoulder, whatever he was trying to do. No, it's pretty simple. It was clear cut. And he should have been disqualified, which I don't understand how they don't review that and they don't kick him out of the game.
Where is the control center?
Exactly.
That was dirty as F. He absolutely targeted the head. You say, well, he led with his shoulder, but like you said, he leaned in with the head towards the head. Yeah. Like, come on, give me a break. All these Riders fans saying, oh, it's shut up. It was clearly a dirty hit.
Yeah. I can live with a hit that's, in bang bang kind of play that somehow, ends up hitting the head. And it's like, okay, yeah, it didn't look like that's what he was going for, but this one, he's clearly going for that spot. And you're going after a guy who's had concussion problems in the past.
Yes.
Right. He knew what he was doing, and the guy was balling. Collaros was balling. He was heating up. He put that interception behind him, touchdown to Dembski, all that. Like, he was playing great, and then you take him out with that play. And it obviously changed the Bombers going into that second half. Right. They weren't the same team offensively. So, yeah, terrible hit. And
2 Labor Days in a row now.
Yeah, and how many times is Saskatchewan guys involved in this D-line? We blamed Craig Dickinson for all this crap. Now you got Mace there. It's like, dude, step up and rein this crap in, right?
Yeah. I'm totally with Wade Miller. Wade Miller. You have to get on that. Not only did CFL Control Center fail you on the day of the game, I guess we can't say if CFL administrators have failed yet, because we got to wait until the disciplinary comes out on Tuesday, Wednesday, or whatever. But if this guy isn't suspended and fined heavily, that's a joke, because he should have been disqualified.
Yep. And I would be saying the same thing if it was the other way around and someone did that to Harris. If a Bomber player did that same play to Harris, we'd be saying the same thing, because it's clear and cut. It's very obvious what the guy tried to do.
CFL Control Center, where are you? Where are you?
What a gong show.
What's the most encouraging thing you saw from the Bombers on Labor Day? Sorry, fans. I'm straight from Labor Day at Calgary. I'm going to be stumbling on these words, but I'm going to say Zach Collaros leading 3 TD drives for the Bombers. That's been my issue, our issue, Bomber Nation's issue for the whole season. Touchdowns and finishing drives in the red zones. And, I lost my mind last week on a Bomber win because they've given up 2 chances big time in the red zone. And it was just great to see them, or see Zach Collaros especially, finish off these drives, even though one of them ended in that BS hit. But that's so encouraging to see them be able to finish drives with a touchdown.
Yeah, that's right. I got the same thing. I said the TDs were happening, and we talked about it last week, and we talked about how the Bombers, all these games were close because the Bombers couldn't finish off these drives and finish them with TDs. Yeah, and now they were doing it. They had 3 offensively in that first half, and they're in a rhythm. That even the pass to Dembski, we haven't seen one of those kinds of TDs in a long time this season from the Bombers. Wide open, great play, great throw, and it all clicked on that. Yeah, the other 2 were Strevy sneaks again, which is fine. No Brady Oliveira touchdowns again, but that's fine. Yep. but yeah, that pass to Dembski, I was like, wow, that's the Bombers of old. That's the Bombers of offense that we were watching over the last few years. Finish a drive and go for the throw like on a play like that.
Absolutely. It was great to see them
Yeah.
stomp on the Riders. What concerns you most after Labor Day?
The injuries right now, Adam Bighill again, dude's struggling to stay healthy enough to come in and play some games.
Yeah.
He took a bit of a low one to the knee yesterday, so I'm not sure exactly what happened there or what the injury is. But hopefully he comes out of it okay, and hopefully Zach Collaros is good to go next week because we're gonna need him. Because I don't know if this Bomber team or the Bomber offense trusts Streveler enough to throw downfield because there was a lot of runs in that second half, and Saskatchewan is good against the run, so it's going to be tough slogging if you're going to try and run and win a game against Saskatchewan.
Yeah, Zach Collaros' health is the ultimate concern right now, especially if it's beyond this week. But I don't think it didn't look like it would be. It looked pretty cool. He came out, even though he wasn't ready to go, and I'm sure the lead had something to do with it. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's me old school football thinking about that. But that is the number one concern if Zach Collaros is good to go for next week, because it's going to be a battle again. First place is still on the line, even though the Bombers are there right now. And the season series is on the line. Because points wise, the Riders still have the advantage because they won by 10 in the first game, 19-9.
Yeah. But it won't matter if the Bombers win. Hey, whoever wins this game wins it no matter what, right?
That's right. The point doesn't come into unless it's a tie because it's a 3-game series this year.
Yeah. And that's huge for the Bombers to take another one because then you got the BC, you got Saskatchewan, you also got Calgary. We'll see what happens with Edmonton. But yeah, then you have the season series against all of these West teams. So when it comes down to it, will obviously be big late in the season.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you that the Bombers will finish first in the West? I'll go 7. I'll go 8 if they clinch the series around the Riders, or would they beat the Riders in Banjo Bowl. 10 if they sweep the Elks coming up. Because that's what it is. Yeah. They're finishing their West schedule coming up straight in these games. 3 in a row against the West. Then they got the Argos, the Ticats, and the Owls to finish. So this is the time for the Bombers pretty much to lock up the West Division. If they can sweep this, they almost got it. So
I didn't take a look. So they got a back-to-back with Edmonton?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it makes it interesting. I don't know.
It does, but then
they're finishing off.
But then they finish against the East, so no West games at all for them.
That's also what happens when you front load the Owls schedule with the East.
Yeah. I'm going to say an 8, and it's funny if you would ask me 2 weeks ago, I probably would have given it a 4. But I'll give it an 8 because they're rolling right now. Like you say, if they beat Saskatchewan, they got another tiebreaker there, right? And Edmonton's coming up. I mean, Edmonton's only a couple games behind right now, and they're starting to ball out. So it'll be an interesting end to the season, and they will have to beat the Elks. If they can sweep them, unfortunately, that's not good for the Elks, but that should help the Bombers at least finish 1 or 2, right?
Yeah. Calgary looked horrible today. Oh,
Calgary's looked horrible all year, man.
Horrible.
I told you Dickinson's done.
Oh, and I told you Meyer wasn't good.
Hey, that's true.
I
bought into that guy. I bought into him.
A lot of CFLers did. Play of the game. I'm going to go the dirty hit on Collaros. That's what kept the game close. If it wasn't for that hit, it wouldn't have. I don't even think they would be worried about this last second field goal, 50+ yarder that Lothar couldn't hit. So I'm going to go. That's the play of the game. Even as dirty and as good as there were offensive plays in the game, like the Dembski one and the Ontario Wilson catch, whatever. That was the play of the game because it kept it close.
Yeah, it definitely did. That changed the game. TSN turning point. I'm going to go with the punt and TD basically, right? Punt. Alfred tries to grab it, hits his hands, goes over his head, and Hallett, Nick, or was it Noah? Nick Hallett. No, I can't remember. Got the touchdown, and it kind of made up for his play earlier on a Saskatchewan touchdown, where I don't know if it was his guy or not, obviously, because I don't know enough of that. But
he's between 2 guys. It was crazy. Who knows?
It looked like a blown coverage there, and the guy was wide open. So he made up for it with that running down the field and being aware and getting that ball in the end zone. That tied it up, I believe, right? Yeah, so because Saskatchewan had just taken, Saskatchewan was up 14-7 at the time, were they not?
I give the Bombers a lead, 22-.
Oh, okay, so I'm wrong. Okay, so but yeah, I'm gonna go with that play because it was huge, and it's another special teams touchdown. You know, that's 2 weeks in a
It's
row
huge.
now, right?
Yeah.
So that special teams team, besides the onside kick, which we never really touched on, have done really well. And that onside kick was terrible, or like that recovery was terrible. And
Yeah.
it wasn't really necessarily Willie Jefferson or the guy there, because it doesn't matter who you had there, because the blocking up front did not work well enough. The guy was already in Willie Jefferson's face before he could even jump up for the ball. So
You don't see that play too many times. And when it
no.
does, it's the most nerve-wracking thing ever.
Well,
I don't think
it's funny because you see the almost interception on that 2-point conversion, and you're like, okay, but you can only exhale for a second because you're like, oh shit, 14 seconds left. The onside kick is still there. This is the CFL. You know, it's like it's not over yet, right? So you couldn't even celebrate and then they got the interception.
Jeez.
Which the penalty of pass interference, which I don't think was necessarily. I didn't see a replay of it enough, but it looked like the Saskatchewan guy more ran into the Winnipeg guy. But I'd have to look at it again to make sure. But another wild ending to the CFL. That guy we got Castillo though, right? He can hit 60. Brett Lowther could not hit 60.
Castillo hit what, a 52-yarder in the game?
55, I think, right?
Shoot,
56.
57?
Yeah. It's funny when you're watching that game in the angle there. I was sitting there going, "Good God, he hit it," because it looked like it was going straight down there. Yeah. You see the fans in the other end of the stadium, the Saskatchewan fans going crazy because they thought they had won, and all of a sudden it just drops 5 yards short. It was like, whoa,
sorry.
Yeah.
Banjo Bowl. Oh, let's go into the what do the Bombers have to do to clinch the season series and beat the Riders in the Banjo Bowl. Let's start with the offense. If Collaros can't play, but I think he will. But if he can't, they will have to lean on that running game and the heavy running game. And it will be totally on Buck Pierce's shoulders to really set up the play action and the RPO out of the shotgun that'll help Strevy succeed. Because he's very limited. Yeah. He's very limited into regards to what can Strevy do on a play-to-play basis. He's not a gunslinger like Zach Collaros. So you're going to have to find ways to open up receivers. And I think the way to do that is to use a heavy set, have an extra guy blocking, and to use trip receivers. Because what that does, it opens the other side of the field for RPO action, run play option, and play action, where you can't go heavy on that side for the run, and it opens a passing game when you have 3 receivers on one side of the field. So I think Buck Pierce has to be really creative with the offense if Collaros can't go.
Yeah. For me, if Collaros is going, do what you did last game. You know, minus the interception. Keep going. Get that offense going. Hopefully Stanley Bryant's back, because that will help a lot with the running game as well. But yeah, exactly. And the passes that were working for Streveler, and they didn't do them a lot, was just short dump off passes to Dembski or guys in the backfield coming out. And I know he missed some of them. I think he only threw one ball that was beyond 10 yards or close to 10 yards. And even that seemed a little bit scary. So my question is really, as much as I love Streveler and what he did for the Bombers, is why would you bring him back if you felt limited, or you felt he was limited in throwing? You know, because you let Prukop go. You maybe could have hung on to Prukop, who could do this short yardage stuff and maybe could come into a game and play a game and toss the ball downfield. Because when you're doing that, Saskatchewan knows, okay, there's nothing going beyond 10 yards here. Let's get on these guys, right? And we're going to stop the run. And if they get something out of the backfield, we're going to be right up on there. So they have to be able to trust Streveler more if Collaros is out.
Use Lucky Whitehead.
That too. Like, where was he on offense?
Lucky Whitehead on screen plays. Against Saskatchewan, though, that's a thing. Saskatchewan is horrible against big plays, like to Nick Dembski, like to Ontario Wilson. Those are 30-plus yard plays that Saskatchewan is horrible at defending against, because they got pride. They think they got a D line and they can go man to man and go toe to toe. Take advantage of it if Collaros is in there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The one thing you're saying like that is Saskatchewan's good at is the turnovers, right? Another interception in that game. So that's where they're banking on, stopping some of these guys. But they give up a lot of yards, and Collaros is well on his way to at least, 300 to 400 yards, because he had over 200 in just a half. So yeah, he was dealing, and that Saskatchewan D couldn't stop him. They're very good against the run, so it'll be tough if the Bombers have to rely on that.
What defense got to do?
Oh, you know what? This is the first game in a while that the defense kind of struggled a little bit. The 3-man rush didn't work enough. They didn't apply enough pressure. And if you give Harris enough time, he's going to find his open guy. So they're going to have to get at him, maybe get a little bit more creative. They threw that 6-man blitz that we are talking about, or 6-man plus blitz or whatever it was. They threw it twice at least. And it got through on that last catch by, was it Bain on home or Emius? Can't remember now. But it got there, but Harris just threw it up and his receiver made the play. So they're going to have to find a way to get a pass rush. And if you can't just do it with 3 guys.
I really don't think the Bombers should be sending more than 4 guys in the pass rush.
No.
They have to find a way to send hidden blitzes. One time you send Cramdy. One time you send Holm. One time you send Tony Jones. One time you send Biggie, or whoever's in the middle at playing the game that day. And sometimes you don't need to send it at all.
Yeah.
There was a great play where they had a 3-man rush and they teased Biggie coming on the blitz. That made the center think twice. That made a guard think twice. And what that does is it allows your ends to go one-on-one. If the guard and center have to think twice about who they're going to block, that leaves one-on-ones with Willie Jefferson and perhaps Garbutt on the end. And that's kind of what you want with the 3-man rush, right? You want a one-on-one situation where you're not having the offensive line being able to target guys with a 2-on-1 or a double block or whatever. So find a way to get those hidden blitzes going and fake blitzes, because I really think they could dominate that Saskatchewan O-line. I don't think they're that good.
Well, and they 2 guys went down in that Saskatchewan O-line yesterday, and they brought in, I can't remember who the guy was, if he was another O-line or he was D-line, because he was wearing a jersey with no name on the back. And, so they didn't take advantage of that. And this is 2 games in a row, actually, where against Saskatchewan, where Saskatchewan O-line has kept their quarterback fairly clean, you know, and you got to get pressure because Harris will make you pay. The coverage too, again, it seemed like the softer Richie Hall kind of coverage where the guys were 10 yards back, letting Saskatchewan catch the ball and then going at them kind of thing. So it seemed like the Bombers D regressed over the last few weeks that they had played so well in. So they're going to have to flip that around and get some better play from some of these guys.
I don't think we'll ever see this Bomber defense depend on the press coverage. This is their meat and potatoes. If they challenge a quarterback to find the holes in their secondary quickly, and not just the secondary, when you have linebackers dropping back in coverage, they will drop 9. Just if that quarterback can find that hole.
Yeah, so, and they were finding it though. That was the problem, right?
Exactly.
They were finding it a lot yesterday.
Veteran.
Exactly. Yeah. You give him time, just like Bo Levi Mitchell, they're gonna find it. So
Bo Levi Mitchell, Hamilton and Toronto. Let's talk about them special teams. All I have is keep going lucky. I love this way this guy is returning the ball, and it's not necessarily about these huge run backs or this possible touchdowns. This guy, 3 punt returns for over 19 yards with a long of 31 that set them up for the game-winning field goal.
Yeah,
this guy is returning with no fear, running through holes and committing to the holes. So just keep going, Lucky Whitehead. I love the return game, even though it's not dangerous. It does the job.
Yep, and it's getting there, hopefully, because you saw it on that last one. Hopefully it'll find, Lucky, once Lucky gets a little bit more used to the guys blocking in front of him, he starts to figure things out. He's going to have an opportunity maybe to take one back. So, yeah, keep going with that. Their coverage team had, again, another pretty good game against Mario Alfred yesterday. So that coverage unit is still on fire. And then the punt by Sheehan, which bounced in front of Alfred and in for the touchdown. So, Sheehan, 43-yard average, I think, yesterday. So, a decent game from him as well. So, yeah, keep that going. And Castillo, obviously, Sergio Castillo. Guys,
we
money.
Just didn't even talk about this dude because he's perfect almost.
Yeah, and it's from distance. It's not like we're talking about 30-yard kicks here. We're talking about 50-plus kicks that he continually hits, right?
Yeah.
So, and if he was the one kicking that field goal yesterday for the win, I would have for sure thought the Bombers were winning that game anyways, if he was kicking it. So, they just have faith in the guy.
Bomber fans, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, follow us on your podcast provider, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let's move on to some Winnipeg Jets talk. Are you concerned about this Perfetti dude not signing yet?
It's 3 weeks pretty much till training camp starts. I have not seen much in the papers or the news that they're even close or they're discussing a deal and all that stuff. So I'm not totally concerned yet, but I am getting there because I'd like to see this guy sign and I'd like to see what they're doing with him. Obviously, he has some concerns over last season and getting benched. I mean, the guy had almost 20 goals and you're getting benched at some point for lesser guys to play in the playoffs kind of thing. So I can see probably where his concerns are, where he's coming from, but yeah, hopefully they get this deal done soon.
As a fan, I have zero concern. I have all the confidence in Chevy to get a deal done that's the best for the team. Like, what is a team going to do? Is someone really going to send an offer sheet for Perfetti? And I think the Jets are enough cap space that they will be able to match it. So I'm not really concerned at all. I think it'll get done. It'll probably be a bridge deal, which makes sense for both parties. But no, I have zero concern about Perfetti being on another team or not signing for his RFA.
Yeah, you saw those two Oiler RFAs get signed by St. Louis earlier, right? They're tough up against the cap. Every team knows that the Jets, unless you give Perfetti some ridiculous contract that, hey, the Jets will say, hey, thanks, we'll take your first rounders away, right? But no one's going to do that, and the Jets have enough space to match anything. So I just rather it get done sooner than later. Hey man, I'm a Niners fan. I just saw shit with Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams. I'm tired of seeing guys not signed to contracts. So I just want to see this Perfetti one get done and start looking forward to the season.
Okay, so you're a fan of the 49ers. John Lynch has a history of getting deals done that are good for the team. You're a fan of the Jets. Shovel Day has a history of getting deals done.
Shovel Day off. Don't forget the
Shovel
off.
Day off. Shovel Day. Either way, it doesn't matter. Has a history of getting deals done that are good for the team. I don't know what you're worried about.
It's the added stress of waiting for these guys to sign, right? Trent Williams is still not signed. They got a game in a week.
It'll be done.
Oh my goodness.
It'll be done.
Get it done, John.
Let's move on to quick shots. After watching BC and Winnipeg play, which division is favorite to win the Grey Cup? I'll go the West. When's the last time the Owls beat a decent team? The Argos on July 11th because they lost their quarterback? No, that's not good enough. I really like what Rourke has done. I do not think... Oh, I'm going into the next question anyways. West. I'm going with the West.
I'm still going with the East until someone else can prove that Montreal is not as good as they look right now.
Montreal's been playing East teams. No wonder they look good. Is Nathan Rourke back?
I'm not going to say not yet. Good game. 21 of 30, 3 TDs, an interception. A lot of those, or not a lot of them, but 6 receptions were to his running back. So 6 of those, the running back led the team in receptions. So I'm not sure he's quite there yet, but it's definitely a way better game than what he's played so far.
I think checking down the running back is a sign of getting comfortable in the offense. I really like the way he played, and I think he is back. I'd be very surprised to see any kind of significant step backwards with Nathan Rourke at this point. And I am seriously, honestly, I'm concerned about the BC Lions at this point after that performance against a very capable Ottawa defense. Oof. Do you think the path to trade VA has opened up a bit?
Yeah, I think so. And I don't think VA wants, I can't say what he wants, but me personally, he's a competitor, right? When I watch a guy, I can't see him being okay with sitting there and being a second string guy. And I can't see Rourke being okay with being a second string guy. So I think at some point, BC is probably going to have to look at something. And if you can get a first rounder out of a team somewhere, then you have to take it.
Absolutely. If another team offers you a starting Canadian and a pick,
that too,
which you would for a starting quarterback, yes, I'd make that trade.
Yeah.
With the success of TD Pacific, what other city would you like to see a game in? Quebec City. They have Laval Stadium. Like, let's get it going there. Let's test that market. Let's test that facility. Quebec City is the next place to go.
My notes, same thing, Quebec City. I want to see it too, because I want to see how many fans would come out to that. And I'd love to see, we talked about these Labor Day classics and these rivalries, right? Montreal versus Quebec. Then you can leave BC, Ottawa, but Montreal, Quebec would be a great rivalry to start on Labor Days.
Best rivalry in sports, and you can't pick the Bombers Riders.
Bombers Riders?
You can't pick them.
I got to go with the Yankees and the Red Sox. I know it's probably not as big as it was right now because both teams, sometimes one team is better, one's sucking right now. And I think Yankees are better and the Red Sox have been sucking the last few years kind of thing. So I'll go with that one.
For me, I don't think any rivalry can get as personal as Ali Frazier. It was truly personal. It went to class. It went to race. And you know that these guys were, and it makes it even more heated that these guys were good friends before that shit went down. So, and they're fighting with fists in a ring. So I'm going to go Ali Frazier. Last one, Super Bowl predictions. You go first. What do you got?
Yeah, again, I'd like to pick my Niners, but I think this season is going to be a gong show. I think things are just not going to go their way. I'm going to go Ravens over Lions.
Ooh, I'm going to go Green Bay, Baltimore. Ravens win the Super Bowl.
Oh, so we're
both of us.
picking Ravens.
Fans, put your comments in the comments section below. Benny, what do you got to say to our friends?
You know what? Thanks a lot for listening. Have a good week. And that Banjo Bowl is going to go crazy. Go Bombers.
Go get your tickets. It's going to be nuts. I'm stuck in Calgary. I done sold mine in section 112. So in the meantime, and in between time, that's it. Another edition of Rain Benny Talk Sports. I'm too close to the screen.
Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to check us out online on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Ray Benny Sports. And don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Leave a like, leave a comment, tell us what you think.